Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Steelers Stock Watch, WRDK Metcalf. After the Steelers signed Russell Wilson last year, visions of DK Metcalf danced in fans' heads. After all, they still work out together in the offseason, which must mean he is available for trade. We don't know how available he may or may not have been, but they reportedly tried. For the second year in a row, the Steelers traded for a player in March that they tried to trade for during the previous regular season. In 2024, they picked up CB Dante Jackson after trying to add him at the trade deadline in 2023. Last year, before landing Mike Williams, the Steelers aimed for DK Metcalf. Of course, they also tried to trade for half a dozen other wide receivers. But outside of Brandon Ayuk, none of the Steelers' other targets measure up to Metcalf. That's why they were willing to give up a second-round pick and a 5-year, $150 million deal to get him. Chances are, that's very similar to what they were willing to do with Ayuk before he nixed a trade. According to reports, the Steelers plan to hold on to George Pickens even after the Metcalf trade. Of course, if they were putting him on the trade block, they wouldn't announce it. Other teams might, but that's not how the Steelers operate. Whether it's authentic or not, they make other teams think they need to bowl them over with an incredible offer to pry one of their precious wide receivers away. The Seahawks didn't need to do that here, because DK Metcalf's resume speaks for itself. He has a proven track record of production, unlike, say, a Chase Claypool, whom they traded. I'm sure not knowing who would be throwing Metcalf the ball when the Steelers made the trade was nerve-wracking, though. Steelers' latest signing slams proverbial door shut on the Russell Wilson era. The Pittsburgh Steelers have been in trouble at quarterback long before Ben Roethlisberger decided to retire from the NFL. Their poor succession planning has led to a messy situation in the QB room for many years. Many teams look to find the successor to their current franchise quarterback before he is gone. The Steelers seem to try that on a few occasions, but we can use the word try very loosely. From Landry Jones to Joshua Dobbs to Mason Rudolph, the Steelers' attempts at succession were met with zero results. All three were once viewed as someone who could learn from Roethlisberger and take over once he retired, but those plans never materialized. The Steelers then tried to draft Kenny Pickett in a weak QB class and hoped he would work out as the next great QB for the team. That plan fizzled out after only 2 years in Pittsburgh before he was traded to the Eagles last offseason. A large reason for that trade request was due to the team signing Russell Wilson after he was cut by the Broncos. This led Pickett to want out, to which the Steelers obliged and also traded for Justin Fields to be Russell Wilson's backup. We all know what happened this season and that Justin Fields has since signed with the New York Jets. Russell Wilson looked like he wanted to be back in Pittsburgh, but the team did not act as if they felt the same way. The door to the Russell Wilson era seemed to still be cracked open with the team not having signed a QB after legal tampering and the first day of the new league year. Their most recent signing in the QB room looks to have changed that. The Steelers have been held hostage by Aaron Rodgers and his decision to play in Pittsburgh or with another team or retire in 2025. The only QB on the roster for 2025 was Skylar Thompson, so the situation was growing increasingly volatile. The situation is a bit less alarming now the Steelers have agreed to a reunion with former QB Mason Rudolph on a 2-year contract. This provides the team with a veteran option who is familiar with the team and has starting experience while they wait out Aaron Rodgers. The fact that Pittsburgh went and signed Rudolph and has had seemingly no contact with Russell Wilson's camp indicates they have little to no desire to bring him back for 2025 and beyond. The way last season ended likely fueled that decision to part ways for good. With Rudolph on board, the Steelers can wait on Aaron Rodgers without worrying about what they would do if he goes elsewhere or decides to hang up his cleats. Rudolph allows them the peace of mind of knowing they have a capable arm on the roster that they can fall back on for some insurance. There is no doubt many Steelers fans are not going to like the move. Rudolph's time in Pittsburgh was a huge roller coaster from the time he was drafted until he left the team this past offseason. Rudolph will fit Arthur Smith's offense well as a pocket passer and could find success in the system should he end up the starter if the team is unable to sign Rodgers or another veteran. He will also have much better weapons in the passing game than he did in 2019 when he filled in for an injured Ben Roethlisberger for much of the season. Russell Wilson is now visiting other teams and planning his next moves after seeing the door to a return slammed in his face. Whether the door will be locked remains to be seen, but it would take a lot to open it back up after reuniting with Rudolph. Beat writer speculates on why Steelers want Aaron Rodgers. The Pittsburgh Steelers are still waiting on word from Aaron Rodgers, having already offered him a contract. Rather than commit to Justin Fields or Russell Wilson, they are hoping for something different, yet with the same goal. The Steelers are hoping to get from Rodgers, Jerry Dulac speculates, what they wanted out of Wilson, a playoff win. I think it's the same situation as Russell Wilson last year, he told Rich Eisen of the Steelers' pursuit of Aaron Rodgers. Bring in a proven guy, who's won a Super Bowl, who's probably headed to the Hall of Fame, to try to immediately get this thing back on track by winning a playoff game. The Steelers surprised everybody last year when they pursued Wilson, later trading for Fields. Onlookers expected more of the same, perhaps Mason Rudolph competing with Kenny Pickett to start. Instead, they turned over the entire room, and if Aaron Rodgers signs with them, the Steelers will have done it again. To nobody's surprise, they determined that Kenny Pickett wouldn't end their playoff doldrums. Russell Wilson was like a found lottery ticket, thanks to his unique contract situation. Unfortunately for the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers is a full-price version of the Russell Wilson gambit of a year ago. But they're trying, and that's what fans want, or part of it. The lesser part. What fans want is for them to start winning again, and they didn't see another year of Wilson as conducive to that. Neither did the Steelers, hence their pursuit of Rodgers. The immediacy is still a big point of emphasis for them, Dulac said. The Steelers last won a playoff game in 2016, and they haven't been to the Super Bowl since Aaron Rodgers beat them in 2010. Bring in a guy that can immediately get them back on track. Not be a Super Bowl contender, necessarily, because I don't think they're that. But how about winning a playoff game? And I think that's where they are. And here we are, waiting for the white smoke, or whatever color the herbs he smokes produce. The Steelers haven't sat idly while they wait for Rodgers, though. They signed Mason Rudolph yesterday, agreeing on a 2-year, $8 million contract. Obviously, they view him as a backup, but I think it gives them comfort, feeling somewhat protected if things go completely off the rails. The real question is whether the Steelers' strategy is doing more harm than good. Are they in a position where they can push for one season just to win a playoff game, or will they keep falling short because they are not getting bad enough to get better? And you, fan? What do you think about Aaron Rodgers' situation? Write to us in the comments.